Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have one cruise line that's decided it's not going to go to a very popular port at all this summer. We have all the cruise lines and a city in Alaska that have been cooperating on something and has had miraculous results. We have Royal Caribbean announcing that they are also going to be doing a big refurb on one of their most popular ships. And finally, we'll talk about Cunard's bringing out a brand new cruise ship this year. We know where the inaugural sailing is. We know where they're going to be doing their VIP announcement, and we know where they're going to have their naming ceremony. So first off, let's talk about Norwegian Cruise Line, who has decided that, yep, this year, because of all the restrictions and everything that are now in place for a very popular cruise port, that they're not going to go with the Norwegian Pearl at all this summer in the Mediterranean, and that cruise port is Venice. Now, if you're unaware, Venice has restricted cruise lines from going into the main lagoon. Now, you have to do one of two things. You can now go to another port, another terminal to drop off that's outside the city and take a bus in, which can be up to 2 hours long to get into the city, or you can tender outside the main lagoon and shuttle everybody back and forth that way. However, Norwegian Cruise Line has come out and said, you know what, the tendering process and everything just isn't up to par. It's not reliable. It hasn't been running well, and because of that reason, we're just not going to go to Venice at all this year. We think it's too much of an inconvenience for our clientele. And I'm wondering how many other cruise lines are going to start to feel that way when customers start going and realizing that they have 4 hours of bus rides now to get into the city, where they used to have to just walk off the ship, and there you were in Venice. So it should be interesting, but Norwegian Cruise Line is saying, yeah, it's just not up to par, so we're not going to do it. So that's an uncooperative port, if you will. How about one that is cooperating with the cruise line? So back in 2019, the port of Juneau in Alaska and the cruise lines started to discuss how they can cut back on the waste that is being dropped off in Juneau by the cruise ships. Back then, it was 3.3 million metric tons that were dropped off each year by the cruise lines. Well, in 2023, they have gotten that down to just under 250,000 metric tons, which is a 90% decrease in how much is being dropped off. That's just a good sign of the cruise lines and a cruise port working together to come up with a solution to their problems, and it comes from a lot of different things that they implemented between the cruise lines and the town of Juneau. So good job there by everyone working together to come up with a solution. And hey, I'm pretty sure the townsfolk in Juneau are glad to see 90% less garbage coming off in their town. We also have Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is announcing that they're going to bring in one of their most popular cruise ships in 2025 for a major refit and dry dock. 56 days, I believe, it's scheduled to go in for a dry dock and replace everything from the slides on the ship to dining venues and refresh some of the cabins, etc. And that's the Allure of the Seas. Now, the Allure of the Seas was scheduled to go in 2019. However, it was delayed, thinking that they could do it in 2020, and then you know what happened in 2020. The world shut down from craziness, and we didn't get a refit on the Allure. So it is scheduled now for 2025. $165 million going into the ship and changing a lot of the things that will refresh it and make it look like a brand new ship again. A lot of people are saying, well, they said new dining venues, and where are they going to put them, etc. And I don't know if it's so much as creating a new dining venue in a new space as replacing possibly some of the places that are out there that are already on the ship that might not be as popular. For instance, Wonderland restaurant on board is often seen as a hit and miss from Royal Caribbean passengers, or seen as a one and done type of menu, where you can go to Tapanaki over and over again and have a really good meal and different things. Wonderland is a set menu, and it's also an experimental menu where you would get like a clear liquid in a test tube, and when you drink it, it turns out it's tomato juice. So, you know, it's a lot of things that look like one thing but taste like another thing. And it's supposed to represent Alice in Wonderland. There's a lot of theming behind it on some of the ships, and some of the staff really go heavy into the storytelling and explaining the menu and things like that, while others sometimes be lackluster and don't really explain to you what's going on, and that's why it can be a very big hit and miss. And I have a feeling, because I don't see the Wonderland restaurant on the Icon of the Seas, I have a feeling you won't see it on the Allure after she goes in for refit neither. Yeah, just one of those restaurants that you either love it or you hate it, and it does tend to be a one and done dining venue on the ships. Good to see though that the Allure is going in for that refit. It's one of my favorite ships out there because I also like the Mamma Mia Broadway show. It's one of my favorite Broadway shows on a cruise line anywhere. And so I'll be really happy to see this ship once it's done its refit. I'll have to take a look and get back on her and show you what it looks like after the brand new redesign, shall we say. Should be interesting. Next, let's talk about Cunard's brand new Queen Anne coming out. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from the new ships coming out to the refits that are happening, to tips and tricks that might just help save you just a little bit of money and make your next cruise a little bit easier, or even to discuss some of the hardships you end up facing when you go on a trip that just doesn't go the way you had planned, like my last trip. Does that discourage me from cruising again? No. Was it anything to do with the cruise ships? No. It just happened to be not a fun trip. So I can't wait to get back out on the ocean and put all that behind me. And that's what you have to do as a cruiser. And I hope I can keep you on that journey and have a great time. Again, it doesn't cost anything, but I really do appreciate it. And it really tells YouTube, hey, people like cruising videos, let's check it out. So Queen Anne is launching this year with Cunard, and they're going after a more broader market. Cunard is known as that traditional cruise line. They're known as that transatlantic cruise line, very white glove service, if you will, very tier-oriented service as far as the clientele is concerned. But they are looking to bring in the more modern look on their ships and hopefully appeal to a more broader range of passengers. And we now know that they'll be on a sailing on May 24th. It's a 14-day sailing out of Southampton. And during that sailing on June 3rd in Liverpool, they will be having their naming ceremony. So if you're in Liverpool on that time, come on out, take a look at the Queen Anne. They're expecting thousands upon thousands of people to head down to the shore to see the Queen Anne and the naming ceremony take place. There is hints that Princess Anne will be the godmother, but they haven't confirmed anything. And really, they haven't confirmed a lot as far as their naming ceremonies and their VIP events and all that kind of stuff. They're kind of keeping it hush-hush, even though it's only a few months away. But Liverpool has a very historic tie to Cunard, as that's where their founder started Cunard Cruise Lines, one of the oldest cruise lines out there, with a lot of history in the past of the world, basically, and transatlantic voyages and bringing migrants, and during the war, all kinds of history that comes from the Cunard Cruise Line. It was all started in Liverpool. So it's very nice to see them go back there for their naming ceremony of the Queen Anne. Well, are you guys do you think that would be a fun cruise to do, the naming ceremony during a voyage? Sounds like a lot of fun to me. Unfortunately, I can't do it. I'm on another cruise exactly at that time and I can't get out of it. But yeah, it sounds like it should be a blast in Liverpool, home of the Beatles, and then home of Cunard Cruise Lines. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.